when we were in Orlando at the ESPN event, most of you know I go on a morning walk. And each morning I went walking somewhere between 6:30 and 7:30. I saw Bill Courtney, the former coach at UVA, and who was at Temple. Their team was at the tournament. And we didn't say much, just say, how you doing? And he had a pretty brisk pace, and I stepped up mine after I passed him, and he just had this smile that was encouraging. And he passed away the other day, and our prayers are certainly for his family. But the reason I'm opening with this is like it's just so important to have the right perspective. AY was at our team huddle the other day, and I've got a really close friend who's been diagnosed with cancer, and he sent a message asking for prayer, and he said, I get to have cancer. So, look, I know we're in the thralls of it, and everybody wants to talk about the next game and what kind of conference run can we have and all that. But, like, I'm going to keep going. Like, this book by Joe Ehrman says in the introduction, it's Inside Out Coaching, and he asks 4 questions of coaches that I've memorized for the last decade and a half. He asks, why do I coach? What's it like to be coached by me? Why do I coach the way I coach? And what's my barometer of success? And since reading that book, my barometer of success is always going to be about trying to honor the men in the room that God has entrusted me to be a part of their life in some way or shape, form, or another. And Coach Courtney's homegoing is just a constant reminder of that. And yeah, so I would be remiss because I was pretty close to Amir, and man, like we just got to keep everything in perspective. All right. Questions? No questions after that. Thanks. Have a good night.
Is it more difficult to do that, especially when you got the transfer portal and guys are, it's almost a revolving door. Maybe not as much for your program, but even still to do that when you don't have guys for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, John. Everyone that's in college athletics is affected by the current landscape we're navigating. We're not immune to it. We had the good fortune of Zach, Caden, and Colin because of their affinity for one another, for Liberty, for being a part of this program. They stayed. I can't ensure that all of our guys will do that. Like, it's difficult to compete with some of the financial incentive that some of our guys are hearing about. So, but again, I'll go back to the question, like, why do I coach? And, like, this is a great place to be a student, to be an employee, to be a part of one body. So having a chance to do it here, like, I want to win the game. Like, I don't sleep great when we don't win. But, man, you know what? I want more than that, is to be a part of something bigger than myself and to make sure I stay in the lane of get to. Like, I get to do this. So some of the inconveniences or the frustrations that come with this position, yep, they're real, but I'm going to keep pursuing a heart of gratitude.
You guys have gotten to the free throw line in conference play way more than you did a year ago, way more than you even did in non-conference play this year.
Yeah.
To what do you attribute that kind of uptick in getting to the line?
Our league is really physical. Like, you'll see, if you look at the fouls committed by our league opponents, like, they're all up there. Most of them, I should say. Delaware's not. So I just think being strong with the ball, playing through that, and then if you have the lead at the end of the game, sometimes teams have to foul you. So we've done a better job. Like, historically, Matt, I think we've been a pretty good free throw shooting team. Obviously, Zach hasn't, hasn't performed in that statistical category like he or we would want, but I'll take it. Like, I don't care if he shoots 19% from the line. What he does to impact winning is ridiculous. And I'm not going to go Will Wade or anything like that on you, but like his impact is incredible. So, and he's shooting better now. But I do think that's an area that I've really never had concern until last year. It was really poor, but I don't know. You guys would know better. Bill would know. Like, I think our teams have been pretty efficient from behind the line, and why wouldn't they be? We recruit shooting. So
Third year in Conference USA, first 2 years, you're at 2-3 through the first 5 games, and you're at 5-0 right now. What do you attribute maybe that, I don't know if you call it a turnaround, but the early success in conference play so far?
Yeah, John, it's hard. That's a hard one for me to answer because I don't think about this year's team compared to that team or that team or that team because they're all different. And the chemistry, like that's such an elusive equation in leading your room, you know? So, but I do think this group was really humbled on December 10th when we were in Raleigh. We weren't as bad as the scoreboard. Like, I watched Nebraska and Oregon last night, and Nebraska beat them 95-60, and Dana Altman's one of the best coaches in our game. 95-60 in a conference game, and like no one is exempt from a bad night. But I think that humbling and kind of recentering propelled our group to be a little bit more connected or intentional about the value of each possession, and because of that, I think it's kind of carried over. Pulled one out in Miami, and then we've played decent here in the last couple of weeks. So. We honestly don't talk about it though. And I tell them, and you guys, I'm sure you'll make fun of this, but I don't care what the standings are right now. I'd rather be what we are than what you alluded to. But it's a one-bid league, and our charge has to be making sure that we are pursuing improvement. That's going to be our barometer of success. Like, are we invested entirely to that pursuit of development, and I'm not just talking about on the floor. I'm talking about off the floor as well.
You mentioned those teams being different. What does make this team so different despite having 4 key starters return?
Good question. Shocking.
It's been 4 months.
Yeah.
Give me that one.
Again, I'll reference the big three, if you will. Colin Porter is the most underrated, unheralded point guard in America. He's elite. Like, he does so much for our team. I wish he got more recognition for all the sacrifices and the investment that he makes in our group, and it's prowess. Cade Matheny is an absolute joy to coach. That is a killer. He's a hard guard. He can score in a variety of ways. He's incredibly unselfish. I don't know where he is in assist turnover ratio in the country, but he's up there. And those two dudes, the aforementioned, they are tough as nails, especially on the defensive end. So you combine that with the season that Brett's having. Brett's got 25 to 28 foot range, and he can put it on the deck. So the floor kind of opens up, and then we got the unicorn. And Zach is just like it's always a puzzle when you see how teams are playing him. And the neat thing for me is, like, he figures it out before we can get to the bench and say, hey, this is, like, he just figures it out. He'll organize the chess pieces and try and take advantage of it. And then we have a bunch of stars in the invisible roles, like J.J. Harper and Xander Carter, and even our scout team, the freshmen who aren't getting minutes, they are dedicated to, like, getting better and trying to simulate what we're going to see the next day or two.
What makes J.J. Harper such a good fit with this group, and how has he improved since he joined the team?
Yeah, J.J. is he's one of those guys that, like I don't make decisions just by the numbers. Like, I got a different filtering process, And I thought he would be good for us. DJ highly recommended him. His coach at West Liberty, who's now at IU Indy, spoke really highly of him. And I just, the more I talked to him on the phone and he came on his visit, the more I liked him. And you know what I saw or felt in our conversations? He wanted to win the game. So when I asked that question, what makes him so special? He wants to win the game. And he'll sacrifice shot attempts, guarding a guy that's 100 pounds heavier. Not maybe that. Maybe the Missouri State guy will be that. Like he'll whatever you ask him to do, he'll do, and he's invaluable that way. He's really been. He's hard for me not to play. Like I know, like you guys will talk about our bench minutes and this, that, and the other, and there's some truth to that. But the guys on the floor are playing really well. So I want to – sometimes you got that chemistry, and I'm all about development, don't get me wrong, but those guys have earned quality minutes, and I want to make sure we're playing our best. So sometimes I keep them out there longer than some would like.
You kind of led to my next question. Those guys on the bench, outside of Josh Smith, how do you decide their usage? Is there a plan for each matchup going into a game? This is the ideal scenario. Is it all feel within a game or
Yeah.
foul situation? Like how do you determine when, if, how much they get used?
Yeah, they all get NIL, so it depends on what's been Venmo'd into my account. Nah, Matt, it's like honestly, it's what the game needs. Like sometimes it's RJ, and Xander Carter, I feel pretty good about inserting him into the game and knowing he's going to inject whatever the team needs. Xander Yates was huge for us last year because of how well Josh has played. His minutes haven't been as consistent, and you can never expect consistency from a player that you're not giving consistent minutes to. So I hope to give him a little bit more of a regimented schedule, but again, it's usually related to matchups and maybe who they're on the floor with. Because like when we have all those guards out there, man, that court opens up. And the way teams are playing us, they're just locking onto those dudes and giving space to the others. So, again, it's kind of how we're being defended, what matchup we like, who's out there, and who else needs a blow.
You mentioned the NC State game, how it kind of humbled this group. Was there any one moment or one practice or one player that you can think back to that kind of, you can draw back to and say, maybe that's kind of helped propel this, recent 7-game run?
Yeah, fair question, John. Again, you guys, you've heard this. You could probably finish the quote for me. What you do every day is more important than what you do every once in a while. So what I love about this group is they have an authentic investment in being who they are and living transparently amongst one another. Like that builds foundationally to not only your now, but to the future. So those exiting seniors, like, man, I'm incredibly grateful for. Like when we do this press conference before senior night, it'll be a short one. Like I won't want to talk about it. I dread the end with this group because of how much they've done for us in our program. So they felt like similarly like we did after the Oregon game, and to have that regurgitated and then to hear all the doubt and the disappointment that maybe they were hearing from others, I think just like, man, this is about us, and let's make sure we're pursuing the right thing because they want to win too. They didn't. Yeah. So no defining moment other than like, yeah, that was rough to go through. Let's turn the page and let's make sure our identity isn't tied into the outcome of that game. Signetti says, he talks about being consistent, unaffected by success, unaffected by failure. And we always say failure is learning. So I don't know if I'd use that vernacular, but I would tell you how we learn from that. And we're reminded this is what we do. It's not who we are.
New Mexico State tomorrow night, a team that the last couple of years. A lot of new faces though, like every team in Conference USA seems like this season. What are some things you've seen that's kind of stood out about them?
Can I go, I don't know who said it, maybe I heard Marcus Freeman say it, every game has a life of its own. 2 years ago, they lost to Northern Illinois at Notre Dame. Like, that's not supposed to happen. Our league is really good. We may not recognize the names because they weren't here last year, but there's investment in every program in this league in terms of rev share. Like, we are not the king of the table. They were supported incredibly well, don't get me wrong. They have really good players, and they're a great defensive team. They've got, I think they're the 19th most bench minutes, so they're 10 deep, and they keep rolling them in, rolling them in. So I don't know where we are in bench minutes, but it might be the 19th from the bottom. So we're gonna have to exercise our strengths in order to be victorious or to have a chance to win. I have a ton of respect for Jason, how hard their team plays, and like in this league, especially with the quick turn, you can't, like, you got to be unaffected by what the standing says. I don't even know what Mexico State is. I just know they're good. And when you're playing at home, it's more about protecting your home court. Like this league, I think it's the #1 league for home court advantage in the country. So like you feel more pressure when you're at home, especially when there's not the students back. I thought they were back this week, but I hope we get a great crowd because we're going to need it. I have a ton of respect for the Aggies, and mine goes back historically because of my time at New Mexico. This is a tradition-rich program that like they have a lot of pride. So it will be a tough out.
Bryce and Nick, you guys got anything?
I'll just jump in. Coach, obviously we hear you talk all the time about how valuable of a commodity it is to have guys like Zach and Caden and Colin. What are some of the small ways that you see that rubbing off some of the young guys and even just some of the guys that transfer in for a year, like maybe even Javon Malcolm last year, Taylor Peter, and even to JJ Harper? How quickly and like I said, what are some of those small ways you see their veteran and their experience in your program kind of rubbing off on guys?
Yeah, Bryson, that's an easy one. Like you're not in our room, but like those aforementioned, Peter, Moffmer, Harper, they've talked corporately amongst our group about how Caden's humility or Colin's sacrifice or Zach's leadership have impacted them. And the neat thing about it is the guys that have gone before the big three, if you will, like they passed it down. So we've got a little bit of a gap between the 7 or 8 guys that'll exit and the guys returning. So I do think the young guys are getting a huge deposit in their maturity, in their sacrifice bank from those three. And like those aren't the only three. Like Bryson Spell was a great leader. Gabriel, my son, he was really, really good. Xander Yates is phenomenal. J.C. Shire. So I just think those Isaiah Enan's been unbelievable, you guys, like especially given his set of circumstances. So I just think it's something that it's the fruit of being really intentional about recruiting kids from homes like our guys are, having parents that they have, and guys that want to be a part of this university because of our mission.